Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Beast Watch. This episode we're talking about Gotham, Season 1, Episode 14, The Fearsome Dr. Crane. Spoiler warning, if you've never seen Beast Watch before, I do delve into all the minutiae of every episode that we talk about here, so if you haven't seen the latest episode of your favorite show, you might want to go and watch that, then come on back here and check out this episode of Beast Watch. With that said, let's jump in. We had a very Penguin-centric episode tonight, which is not that surprising to me. Fish ratted out the Penguin, of course, to Don Maroney. Don Maroney and the Penguin kind of hashed it out. Blah, blah, blah. Long story short, Penguin got away, of course, because we know he's not going to die. It doesn't matter. I don't know why the Penguin is such a central focus to this series. I don't get it. I understand that the Penguin's one of the most well-known villains in the Batman universe, but to this story in particular and the overall Batman lore, he's really not that big of a crucial player. Why are they putting so much focus on the Penguin all season long? They just keep shoving the Penguin down our throats every single episode. And Robin Lord Taylor, he does a well enough job at playing the Penguin. He's not really that outstanding, and we don't really see that anything new from his performance. So, I think it's time that we give the Penguin a break from the screen. The villain that we focused on tonight in tonight's episode was Dr. Crane, but not the Dr. Crane that we all know and come to expect in the Batman universe. This was a much more humanized Dr. Crane, in fact, an older Dr. Crane, and then we of course learned that this was not the Scarecrow, aka Jonathan Crane, because this Dr. Crane's son, Jonathan, comes running into the room when Dr. Crane is in the middle of one of his habitual murders. So we get a brief glimpse at what will be eventually the Scarecrow, but that's really it, and they really don't go that much into Dr. Crane's origins or how Jonathan comes to be or anything like that, because they just kind of shoehorn another character into the story and they don't really pay that much attention to him. They're still focusing on all this other garbage that they're kind of cramming into the plotline. One of my favorite things to happen in this episode, and it is very brief, involves Bruce, young Bruce Wayne. Him and Alfred make a very brief cameo in this episode. It's nothing too big, but it was enough to make people kind of remember why you're watching the show. Gordon shows up at Wayne Manor, and Bruce kind of calls him out. He kind of relieves him of his promise. He doesn't want him to fulfill his word in catching the murderer of his parents anymore. And this is the first time we kind of see Bruce really cut ties with the police. He tells Gordon he failed to deliver. He doesn't want the GCPD on the case anymore. No hard feelings. He just doesn't want to keep him to the oath. And he'll be continuing the investigation at his own time on his own terms. I like this a lot because it really foreshadows Bruce Wayne taking justice into his own hands and working not exactly with the cops and taking things under his wing, so to speak, to solve the crimes himself and bring justice to Gotham City on his own. Another thing that really stood out to me in tonight's episode is that Ben McKenzie really starts to embody the character of Jim Gordon. There's a particular moment earlier in the episode when he's on a date with Dr. Tompkins, and he really he's making references to not being so good at dating, and the older version of the character that we'll later see in life fighting alongside of Batman really starts to come out of Ben McKenzie, and he really picks up some of the mannerisms and just some of the emotion that we feel when we see Jim Gordon on the page in the comic book or on the screen, and that was something kind of special I took away from tonight's episode. But aside of those two things that I just mentioned to you guys, this really wasn't too exceptional of an episode. The show is still very much struggling on focus. They never focus to the villain on hand that they write the episode based around, and they're always too busy cramming in all of these multiple plot threads, sometimes against people who don't even really matter all that much. I like that Gotham is an hour long. I don't want it to be cut down to a half hour, but it does seem like the main story that they're trying to tell could be told in a half hour. If you're going to make your show an hour, make it a useful hour. Make it a full hour that the audience will enjoy and see why you needed that hour to tell your story for this episode. And tonight really left me wondering to myself if it's just always going to be focused around Penguin and Fish and Maroni and Falcone, or if maybe this is just going to be a season-to-season thing where they kind of focus on one group of characters outside of Gordon and Bullock. Of course, they are the leads, they are the stars of the show. But I really would like to see them put to rest and just end this storyline all together in one season. And can we just kind of move on and see what else is going on in Gotham City and maybe just make it a little bit less busy? And if they don't do that, I'm not sure how much longer of a viewer I'll be for this show. It could get really tiresome. I am a little bit worn out already of these storylines. But what did you guys think of tonight's episode of Gotham? Let us know in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe to the Level Up Network to catch a new episode of Beast Watch after all of our favorite shows. For the Level Up Network, I am of course the Beast NJ, and until next time folks, sit back, relax, and enjoy the shows.